But this book taught me, weirdly, that we can't do everything in our lives. We might not actually get to the finish line.
Yeah.
Maybe my life is just in the between. Setting it up and carrying the torch for the next generation.
Back in those times, you chose a fandom and you died in that fandom. Like, you had to bleed for that fandom. There was no going back. So I was a Harry Potter fan, and like, I'm talking, had thousands of followers on Twitter like at 11 years old. And I would tweet 24/7 Harry Potter stuff. And I had friends from England I would DM with every day talking about Harry Potter and everything.
Another episode on the art of existence here with my good friend
Alex.
And wife. Retaking. What? I was gonna say wife. I don't know why you interrupted.
I'm your best friend, not your good friend.
Okay.
Name another. I'll wait.
Another episode of the art of existence, of just casual chit chat with my wife, Mackenzie Wolf. And we have very few topics, but let's get it going.
Why don't you start by telling everybody what we did this weekend?
So this weekend, first of all, we'll start with...
We have a confession.
Yeah, this is our confessional booth here. We're huge fans of Harry Potter. Huge fans. And
I don't think people can understand.
And we usually, like a lot of people, we binge Harry Potter coming towards like winter, Christmas.
Or several times a year, but yeah.
Yes, and we also really I personally really like the Hunger Games.
We love it.
So we are always kind of looking for like, what do we watch? Several movies, and we started watching, we binged all this weekend.
We watched every single movie in the Twilight saga.
Yeah. I'd never
And not just watched, we entered it like it was an immersive experience. We were hootering and hollering on the couch. We were jumping up from our seats.
It's I'm so surprised.
We'd never seen it, neither of us.
I've seen bits and things,
we never got
huge
into
movements.
it. We never read them either, which we're huge readers, so that's a shock. Yeah, huge fantasy readers.
I remember around high school, I don't know exactly when in high school, but I know it was high school, whether it was grade 9 or mid high school, or when that started coming out for me, Twilight.
Yeah.
I remember going to Walmart and seeing all the pillows, all the faces, team this, team that, and I was just like, teenage boy, I wouldn't care. But I remember maybe past high school when I kind of watched the first one a little bit in a legal site on my computer. Let's go see the hype. And it didn't suck me in, it didn't catch me. I saw the vibe. I like I always liked the dark, misty, and the dark woods. But I don't know, I didn't like it.
I think that being a married man changed
that was
your
20
brain
years
chemistry.
Ago. That was not 20 years ago. That was 10 years ago. And then I've always thought I've always been a hater towards it.
I mean, let's be real. In high school, those lines, when he tells her, forever's not, or no time in this world would be long enough, but let's start with forever. I mean, that just doesn't slap until you found the one.
Get
you know
on the
what
back.
I'm saying?
Spider monkey.
It just doesn't slap the same when you're in high school.
No.
It does.
When you're a grown man.
When you're a grown man.
But I was extremely surprised with the cinematography.
You're gonna get roasted online. This guy said, I swear he said at the end of Breaking Dawn Part 1, how does this not have an Oscar?
Come on. What happens in the privacy of our TV room? Something has to be sacred, man.
Okay, sorry.
But tell me.
Honestly, it was epic. It's epic.
You would see some shots and I'm like, wow,
no,
who is this director?
The helicopter shots are incredible.
Wow, who is this cinematographer?
Yeah.
They probably went up to do some pretty cool stuff.
Let's be real. The first one is a lot cheesier than the rest.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's pretty campy, which I think that sets the tone for something fun. So I don't hate that choice, but also, yeah, there's not as much cool shots. But then once you get into more with the wolves and everything,
they were trying to get to see feel out. Are we gonna make money here? They definitely made money, and it's okay, here's the big budgets, go crazy. Yeah. And I was surprised. Some of the fight scenes, it was just very well shot.
Yeah.
The
It is,
story,
and there's really
the story
cool
and
transitions.
like the lines and like the script. Obviously, it's a kid's.
You have to eat it up. It's amazing.
It's a kid, but like
Yeah.
the work that went behind it was incredible.
they
I
did-
was very, very
job.
surprised. I'm not disappointed. Not one movie let down.
I mean, yeah, I haven't had that much fun in a long time with a new movie.
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously we have that much fun every time we watch Harry Potter and the Hunger Games, but like to get immersed in a new film series, I mean, you outdid yourself, Stephanie Myers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whoever, I think it switched up. I should have looked it up, but it switched up between directors.
I mean,
between
they
each
usually
movie.
do, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're all different vibes.
It's a different temp.
The only thing that was the worst was that CGI on
The
that
CGI of
baby.
the baby, yes. I think we're late on the shitting on the space CGI baby. I think it was like
Yeah.
many years ago.
But we hear your complaints.
Here in 2023, we hear your complaints.
Yeah.
But you never, because you were a huge reader when you're like preteen, teen
yeah.
years, right?
Yeah, Twilight came out when I was like in elementary school, like middle of elementary school. Yeah, I remember everybody was into it. And yes, we will be going on eBay to try to get one of those Team Edward Walmart pillows back from the dead. Yeah, everybody was into it, but I was such a big Harry Potter fan, like so big. And back in those times, you chose a fandom and you died in that fandom. Like you had to bleed for that fandom. There was no going back. So I was a Harry Potter fan, and like I'm talking, had thousands of followers on Twitter like at 11 years old. And I would tweet 24/7 Harry Potter stuff. And I had friends from England I would DM with every day talking about Harry Potter and everything. So I was in it. And then you couldn't embarrass yourself by then associating with another fandom. It was like taboo.
Yeah.
Like it was a legitimate
You stick
taboo.
to your tribe or you get ousted.
Yes, like you had to stick. Like, you had to be loyal. You know what I mean? So I couldn't even pretend to like Twilight because it would have just been sacrilege
Yeah.
at the time. So I never saw it. But this year I've had the desire to go back and read it because I read a lot of fantasy vampire type, werewolf type novels this year, and I was like, oh, I should go back and read Twilight. Like I would love to read them. And then the opportunity came. It was Alex's idea on Friday. He said, we should watch Twilight.
Yeah.
It was like we couldn't find anything.
We exhausted everything. Like
Yeah.
we're one of those people that has Disney Plus,
Yeah, everything.
Netflix, this,
Yeah.
that. It was like, there's nothing to watch. What are we gonna watch? All right, let's shoot. I was like, screw it. I gave in. I'm like, well, fine, we'll watch it because you want to watch it. And then I was like,
Yeah.
wow.
We could probably move on. There's lots more to say, but
Yeah, I'm definitely. Like, who was your favorite character, first of all?
I mean,
Nobody's favorite character is Bella because she's like a wallpaper.
she doesn't have much personality. I'll give you that. I think you have to love Edward.
That personality, as the movies go, the actor, which is
Robert Pattinson.
Robert Pattinson's personality starts coming out.
Yeah.
And you see it in his
He's
little
goofy,
smirks.
and
You
he's
see it in his
like,
little
yeah.
smirks that he didn't do in the beginning. And you see that in interviews and stuff, like that's his personality. And that makes you like him more.
I've always been a fan of him. I think, yeah, so I like his character.
I mean,
he's
my boy.
Yeah, he's Cedric, of course. So loyalty forever. But
I think I personally like the move, like the story or like the family or the pack and everything. Of
the wolves.
Yes, because
I liked, so other than Edward, I like the dad, Carlisle, because he has a very interesting story, going all his life
like you
saving
like
other
individuals.
guys.
I like like you can
Yeah.
like, oh, Edward, but the vampires are
like
very
the-
individuals. I like in the story, I like that how.
You
but
prefer the wolves.
I prefer the wolves.
Yeah.
The CGI on the wolves holds up. They look great.
It looks great.
I
And I don't even know which one it is, but where you actually see Jacob in his wolven form standing next to Bella, and he looks huge.
He's massive. Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is beautiful. It's beautiful, man. It really gets you.
I've been a fan of before, like those horror movies where the werewolves become like weird beasts with like they stand up in
Yeah.
2 legs and they're like massive and disgusting.
Well, like even the wolf in Harry Potter, like when Lupin
Yes,
transforms in the third one.
It was incredible. Like, but I was, and I never really, maybe because of the whole fandom and everything from Twilight, I never really liked them turn into dogs.
Yeah.
But these look cool.
But they look sick.
They look
and
so
and they
majestic.
really do. They do play on the like family and community and like.
But anyway, move on. You're a big fantasy reader, and you stopped for a long time.
They call it romantasy actually, and Twilight falls under. So
Okay.
you now are a romantasy fan as well.
I was never a reader growing up, but I think just starting into the pandemic, and I had to be driving a lot from North Bay down. I started doing, I'm like, okay, these 4-hour drives of just music are getting miserable. So I started listening to sci-fi and audiobooks, yeah, sci-fi. And then I'm like, what other, I really didn't like the books that ended, that was just standalone books, like standalone stories, and it's just one book and it was done, because I'm like, I get attached. So I'm like, what is a book that has many series, or what they're called, many chapters?
Yeah, many books.
And I would ask Mackenzie, and she would suggest, oh, the Percy Jackson, like all children's book, yes, but they're the fun ones that entertain you,
Yeah,
right?
Divergent, like that slaps.
Oh, Divergent was incredible.
Yeah.
So like, I really went deep down there, and I did a ton of sci-fi books, like a ton of sci-fi books that are like very old. Some books that were, I would just Google on YouTube, like search on YouTube, sci-fi books, and I would find, if the front picture was interesting and the title was interesting, I'd listen to it. And old sci-fi never disappoints. And it's so interesting that I started hearing so much that I knew the different sects of sci-fi, which is, you know, the AI that takes over, the ship exploration, the falling in love with the extraterrestrial, the male falls in love with the alien.
Romantasy, sci-fi edition.
Yeah. So all of them. Obviously, I started, the very first sci-fi I did was Dune, and that opened up worlds, because it's very theologically developed, their own religions. It's a bunch of books. But the next one that was a standalone book was Prison Planet. It was just one book, and it really showed me, it taught me something, or it opened up, or it gave me some sort of, I don't know, realization on mortality, because this story opens up where a family or a ship is traveling to their new planet, because Earth is just trash, it's gonna die. And they're traveling to a new planet because Earth is falling to the hands of these aliens that are a lot more powerful, more technologically advanced. It's a disaster. They're fleeing to this haven, and then they get attacked they get intercepted by the aliens, and they almost kill everybody. They round up they take the strongest to help them build a new planet for themselves, and the rest, family, children, old people, women, they round them up and they take them down to the closest planet, and they tell them, we're gonna pick you up later. It was BS, they left them there to die, because that planet had like, I don't know how many times more gravity, so it was just supposed to kill them. Like everything was dead, there was no life. Even for the first day, you see these weird wolf-like creatures that are super strong because they've been born in extra gravity, maybe 2 times or 3 times gravity. And you're like getting to know the characters, which is the mom and the child. And the mom and the child, right off the bat, the mom dies the first day. And I wasn't used to the main characters dying right off the bat. So I'm like, what? And then so now it's the son of the mom. And he finds his grandfather, who was there, because remember, they leave children, women, and older people. And then for a while, it's the grandfather and the kids growing up. And everybody old, they kind of like the extremes of old people, sick people start dying off because their heart can't take the amount of gravity. And obviously, every single day, like hundreds of people are dying because of these wolves. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, so they're gonna build up this main character, and this kid, he's gonna grow up, he gets to a certain age, and almost everybody's dead. They figure out how to live, and he dies. They kill him. Like,
they're just killing off everybody you've built a connection with.
Everybody that you build
it's realistic.
They kill them off, and then his son takes over. The next generation that were born, that actually weren't born like stillbirths and stuff like that, they were actually born in that gravity, and they're actually not thriving, but they're like kind of surviving. There's like a group of like 300 people, they start living, and they start just surviving, and then they discover that like, oh wow, there are elements of copper, gold, things that we can actually use to build a radio. So the whole mission of everybody was, let's build a radio to try to contact and get off of here. Because we knew the people that, the first generation, they were scientists, engineers, they were smart
Yeah.
people, so they knew, okay,
But they lost all
the way we're going, they're not gonna come pick us up. We're gonna be extinct in one or two generations. There's no way.
It's giving City of Ember vibes.
Yeah, a little bit, right? And then they say, okay, we're heading down a very fast spiral downwards, where the people that were engineers that knew how to do things, had talents, that had skills, they're dying off so fast that they're not being able to teach it to the next
they're not
person.
transferring skills.
So they knew that a certain, I don't know, 100 years, they were going to become cavemen again. All those kind of skills, they're going to lose the ability to read, the ability to do things. So they were going towards being cavemen and just literally surviving like cavemen, which is like nothing. You die because you get scraped on your knee. So they said, we're going to put everything, all our resources to try to build a radio. And then, okay, the grandchild, the son of the main character, which was the kid in the spaceship, leads an expedition up to mountains where they think they're going to find copper and gold, and he dies. So,
spoiler alert.
Yes, but like 2 generations after that, they finally have a civilization. They do the radio, they build the radio, and then they were able to contact the aliens, the bad people.
Right.
And the bad guys are like, what? How's this even
We thought
possible?
you were dead, because we
Like,
left you there to die.
Yeah, that planet is inhabitable. You cannot survive. So they say, we're gonna come X date. So now they have a date on when they're gonna arrive, and they start preparing for and planning for when they arrive. Long story short, when they arrive, because these people have been basically bred in this super harsh environment, when the aliens come, they destroy them. And they're so much stronger, faster, smarter than the aliens that they just...
And they were expecting weak people.
Exactly, just wipe them out. But this book taught me, weirdly, that we can't do everything in our lives. We might not actually get to the finish line.
Yeah.
Maybe my life is just in the between.
Setting it up.
And carrying the torch for the next generation.
Yeah.
And it hit me pretty hard. I thought about it for weeks after that, and accepting it. They're like, yeah, I mean, maybe you are the person in between that won't start it or won't finish it. And maybe you and your next generation, your children, are just pushing it slightly forward, and that's what you have to be happy with.
Yeah.
Sorry for taking a big turn here, but like, yeah, that's one of the books that really hit me.
What was the name of it again?
Prison Planet.
Prison Planet. How many books is there?
Just one.
Just one? All that happens in one book?
Yeah.
Damn, moving generation to generation?
Yeah. That's why you don't make no sense.
No, but that's a good book. It leaves you with like a lesson, right?
Yeah.
When was that book written, Prison Planet?
I don't know. It's old. Like some of those sci-fi books were literally written by like 1960s and 17s, like hundreds.
Yeah.
Obviously it wasn't recorded then.
Yeah.
The
But that's the
audiobook.
thing, all the audiobooks then you can get for free on like LibVox
I mean,
or
nobody
whatever,
owns
or
them now.
YouTube or whatever.
There's generations
Yeah.
of people that like nobody really owns it. And it's so odd because sci-fi has such a niche that you'll find a US senator in the late 1700s wrote like a handful of sci-fi books.
Creative writing.
They were great. And there is a trend, which is kind of scary, but like even since then, they would depict the future very accurately.
Yeah, it's scary.
Like we know, like if we use the past of those old sci-fi books, and then the current, because they were writing like way into the future.
Yeah.
And
it's not that hard to tell though, because we know human nature.
Human nature doesn't change, and and where it does fall apart, where it's bad.
Yeah.
That's where it falls apart, and they would always depict, most of the books that are very good would depict, like, maybe we won't go that way, but the no gender, like the gray man that have nothing. They're just like brains, computerized, no feelings. Like, I forget this book, but I'll put the title when I think about it. We'll show it up here, where they control all their emotions. There's no family. It's just all the babies are made in a lab, and then all the people like just use gum. They have like little packs of gum if they want to feel like happy, if they want to feel like exhilarated, and then everybody sleeps together, like they just jump around, like it's just about pleasure, and it's just about all your vices, and this one guy that doesn't feel that way. But it's a great book. It's very famous. But like, yeah, they all depict stuff that like, oh shit, I can really see it go that way.
Yeah, they can. I mean, it's not hard to tell. They pick up on things in society that they're critical of, and they play with them.
They expand it. It's a great thinking exercise.
Yeah.
What are your favorite books that you read?
Well, I've almost read 50 novels this year, like for 2023. Some of my favorites are just purely on vibes. Like, I mean, they are bad books, right? Like, they're bad books. But some that were actually really good, well written, was Priory of the Orange Tree and its prequel, A Day of Fallen Night, which those are huge books. They're like over 900 pages each.
Wow.
And they're fantasy novels. They're high fantasy. They're not fun. Like, they're very intense. But the author just has a way of really like weaving a bunch. She has like 3 or 4 different storylines. And by the end, they all become interwoven. And they're all in different cultures, different places on the earth. And so she just is so thoughtful about world building, like, because she's basically written 4 different worlds. So it's not just like that is so difficult to do. It's not just one fantasy world that she's written.
Yeah.
And like, so there's sort of like an Eastern Oriental fantasy world where one character's coming from, and then there's more like a Western, like kingdom type fantasy world, and then like, you know, it's just totally different, the worlds in the book, and then they diverge by the end of the book, and like the way she interweaves the characters back together is like mind-blowing.
One of the things that calls me the most in books, can they build a great world that has nothing to do with the character?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I feel like bad writing, if I don't know anything about writing, but like, I think bad writing makes it all about the character and shapes the world around the character. And if they want something to happen to the character, will break the rules of the land that they created to suit the story. And the great books that have caught me, like submerged me so much into the story, have been worlds where the character lives. Like a great one has been Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah.
Game of Thrones, like where it develops all.
And even that's a one-faced world.
Yeah.
Like, so she has a Games of Thronesy type world, and then she has like a world where there's dragon riders, like more like Eastern Oriental, like
because
it's
George R. R.
set more
Martin
like
has
that.
written that book his whole life, basically, like 50 years.
And it's one setting.
Yeah, it's just this one world. It's just been like a bunch of years.
That's what impresses me so much about this author. And then you have like these religious sisters who like basically get power from the juice of a magic orange tree. And like, so then you have like this like convent setting basically with these women who've like devoted their lives to serving the orange tree and the magic that comes from it. And yeah, and obviously that speaks to me because all the young women that are in the story are postulants, so they're like waiting for their ordination to be part of the convent of the orange tree, the Priory of the Orange Tree. And it's just so, yeah, the world building is outstanding. So those 2 books, but like you have to stick it out. They're not like that enjoyable. And it's one of those books where somebody, like, at least in Priory, immediately, actually, and in the other one too, immediately someone you thought was gonna be a main character just dies. Like they kill them off like mercilessly. And you're just like, so yeah. So that was one of my favorites this year. And one of my other favorites was Belladonna, the first one, but the second one sucked. I didn't even finish it, which really, really disappointed me. But the first one is, that I've told you about many times, is like this young girl and she can't seem to escape death. Like her parents die when she's a kid.
Is that the Reaper one?
Yeah, and then she's moved around to her parents were really wealthy, so like, but she can't have the money until she's 18. So, and whoever has custody of her when she's 18 will get a chunk of the money, right? So like all these distant relatives take her in so that hopefully when she turns 18, they'll get a chunk of the fortune. And all of the people who take her in die. This is all like just the first chapter. And then she realizes that like she basically speaks to death, like he like appears to her. and it's a love story between her and Death, this character of Death. And he's basically like a Grim Reaper. And it's also a murder mystery book. So there is somebody who, a murder that they're trying to solve of one of her family members. So it's just so fun. It's so well written. And it really has a lot to say about like her development of like her fear of death, her anger towards death, and what it's taken from her. And then like just the symbolism of her falling in love with death. And yeah, it's so good. It was incredible. And the second one sucked so badly. So that's really too bad. And of course, the big series of the whole year for every young woman on earth was Throne of Glass. And that was just epic. And I think there's maybe 6 Throne of Glass books. Yeah, there might be even more than that. And I read all of them. They were really, really good. Like really good. I mean, that's a story where the world building has a lot of cracks, but the characters are so much fun. Yeah, the characters are just so beloved that you just like, you put your sunglasses on and you don't look at the stuff in between. Like some people will be like, oh my gosh, Sarah J. Maas is like this brilliant writer.
No.
I don't know about that. I mean, I don't know about that. But she does have a way with lovable characters that will have you like kicking and screaming. The characters are so lovable. Like Twilight in that way. It's like you just like, but because this has so much more. Yeah, and the plot goes in like, over the course of the books goes in so many directions you didn't expect, so. Yeah.
You stopped reading, like you would read a lot when you were a kid too, right?
Tons. Like I was like always reading as a kid.
And why did you stop? Because you stopped for a long time.
Yeah, I think I stopped for maybe, like I stopped around 16 and then I didn't start reading again really until I was like 23. So yeah, that's a long time, like that's 7 years, right? But I think it was just that like when you're 16, well, first of all, I think I got a laptop and then I had Netflix.
Yeah.
So it was like, if I have a bunch of hours to kill, I'm gonna watch Netflix.
Yeah.
Because for the first time, I can like make my own choices about TV and lay in because the thing is like before that, you had to watch TV like in the living room with your family. And like you couldn't really watch what you wanted or whatever. Or binge watching wasn't really a thing because it was always cable.
Like technology
but
kind
of. The intersection of Netflix being super popular and me being around that age and getting my own computer just made it so that I never wanted to leave bed. Like I wanted to watch all 10 seasons of Supernatural like, in 2 weeks, right? Like, and just never leave my room. So I think that's what happened. Then it was just like, well, why would I read when I could have the same emotional like experience, which is like enjoying characters and enjoying a storyline, and I don't have to even lift my head. It's like epic. It was incredible. And then I just kind of, you just get out of it and you never really go back. And then I started to see a lot of people were talking about books again, and like a book talk became like super popular. Everybody was talking about books online and fantasy books, and I was like, oh man, I really just love that experience. And it was really enjoyable for me, like when we met, because we both loved Harry Potter together. And I was like, it's like I fell in love with Harry Potter all over again, like a new way, even though I was like, of course, an undying fan from day one. But it was something like new and exciting watching it together. So I think that made me like spark that love. It's like, oh wow, like Harry Potter shaped my whole life. You know what I mean? So it's like I wanted to partake in that again. That like just that fun and adventure. Because
reading is the one right now. I'm in a rut and I haven't read anything for like or listened to anything for like maybe a couple months. Because I went down the rabbit hole of what do you remember the name?
Oh, The Wheel of Time.
The Wheel of Time, and there's so many books.
And how many times can Rand come back, really? I mean, seriously.
You haven't read it, so you don't know.
The plot
it goes
does
very
not,
slow. The thing is that it goes very slow. And for me,
I've slept through enough of it from you listening to it out loud to know that the plot is slow.
So for me, like I usually read or like listen to books when I'm doing something else, or like it just kind of fill in the space, or trying to go to sleep or something. And it helps when it's slow, because then I don't have to give my whole mind to it. I can just portion of it, listening to it, just kind of focusing on work or doing something. But it is so long, and it it takes a lot out of you listening and being so immersed in a book that I'm like, oh, I can't handle it right now.
Yeah.
I have so much in my mind right now, I cannot handle it.
The emotional burden.
Yeah.
I know, that is part of it. And that's kind of like, I think how I felt when I stopped reading too. It was like, oh, it's so much easier to watch TV because like when you're that age, 16, 17, your brain is like filled with so many emotions, so many things going on in your head already. And I'm like, if I pick up a book, it's an emotional experience. So why would I? Kind of don't have the brain space for it right now. That's how I felt then.
What's the type of books that you like to read?
Romantasy, which is like fantasy romance.
Fantasy.
They're romance novels.
The Minotaur falling in love with the human or something.
It's not off the table. They're like romance novels, but they're set in a fantasy world.
Yeah.
Like, so there's witches, there's
You've never been attracted to other
dragons.
type of like, because I like the fantasy, like the, like, you know, what's
Yeah.
it called? Like, no, but Divergent is kind of like a sci-fi.
Yeah, so I'm also into
post-world.
that. Yeah.
But like, and for me, it's
Dystopian,
like
they
old
call that.
school sci-fi or dystopia.
Yeah.
I can't
But
read any of
dystopia is
that.
like almost like a side genre of
Yeah.
fantasy. Yeah. But no, I can't read anything that's like realistic. Like I can't read anything that's set in the modern world. I find that there needs to be magic or like a dystopian type kind of like scenario. Like even though there's not, like in the Hunger Games, there's no magic, but like being in the arena is kind of like magic because the technology is so like particular and set up for them, and she has to use her skill in such specific ways that it's almost like a fantasy war scene.
But I didn't like the books that much. The movies are a lot better, and you know it. And you know it. You saw it. Like you were so convinced that that.
But Alex, you don't understand because you have to be a child. Like, I'm sorry you missed that. I am. But like, I'm telling you, if you were in the 8th grade or the 7th grade and you picked up a copy of the Hunger Games, your life was changed forever. And the movie cannot change your life the way that the books do. When you're that age, like it changed my brain chemistry picking up Hunger Games in the 7th grade. I was ready to kill for Peter Millar. I'm not even kidding. Like when he says like, if it weren't for the baby, throwing the book across the room. Like I was like, you can just lie and manipulate people like that, and like the stage presence, Peter, like it's just incredible. Like I agree that the movies are great. I do agree, but at the time when you're a kid, the story has so many other characters. When you're so invested in the characters and then they're basically just not in the movies, that makes it a shitty movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? And there's so many scenes, like just the relationship between Katniss and Peeta is so undeveloped in the movies. It seems like it's like just thrown together. But in the books, it's like
that's
so
true. In the books,
central.
it feels like they
You see them
do kind of
falling in love.
they do belong together, and then
And you see the heart shattering when he doesn't remember her. And like,
yeah.
I'm telling you, man. So I think it's just when those are the crucial things like are life-changing in the books, like they're just incredible. They're missing from the movies. So yes, they're good action movies, but the character development's not
good
fully
action
there.
Movies. Like Jennifer Lawrence, come on.
They're fun.
They're not just fun.
You know what I mean,
They teach
though.
you about tyranny. They teach you.
Yeah, why is that? Because the author wrote about an incredible critique of tyranny,
Okay.
centered around star-crossed lovers.
The reason why it's not that I dislike the books. I prefer the movies because in the movies it's not just the side of what's her name?
Katniss.
Of Katniss.
Yeah, you see more well-rounded.
You see the world a little bit.
I can get that, yeah. But to me, I think it was just, I was the perfect age for the Hunger Games because I was literally a preteen when it came out. And it was just like, it was incredible. That was last year, like I was trying to, the year before I had read some fantasy novels. Maybe I read 6 over the course of the year. And so it was my New Year's resolution to read 10 fantasy books in 2023. Because of course I read all day for work and school. It doesn't count, it's not fun at all. It's actually soul torturing. So I wanted to read for fun, 10 books. And by the end of the year, I'll hit 50. So like, that's how fun my New Year's resolution was. I timed it by 5.
It's so nice too because yes, they're not serious, but at the same time they're serious.
Yeah, they do give you things to think about, morals
Exactly.
to reflect on, and also like it gives you something to talk about, and you spend less time on your phone. Like you can't go to a house party and be like, oh, you know what I saw on Instagram? Like that conversation lasts 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it caught your attention for 2 minutes.
Connecting over a good book.
But when you go somewhere.
Because you read it and I'll read it and we'll have different experiences. Like yes, they'll be the same story, but I'll connect with a certain character more, a certain scene more, like, and being able to share that with somebody and talk about it, like that's basically Bible study.
Yeah.
So like being able to connect it and just talk about it, I think that's the easiest way that you can connect with somebody.
Fun. Yeah, and it's just fun. Like if you read these books with like these just really brave characters and they face what couldn't be faced or whatever, of course that encourages you in your everyday life, right? Yeah, I think it's just fun. I thought you were gonna talk about Ender's Game. That's your favorite.
I really liked Ender's Game, but I kind of deleted it through my mind because the second book, like Ender's Game was incredible.
That's how I feel about Belladonna.
Ender's Game was incredible. Like I was so into it and I was so happy. Like I listened to it like not this summer, the Christmas summer before that when we were in college, and I listened to it. I loved it. But then it had another one. I don't remember the name, but it's the second one. It's very famous. It's all freaking weird. All about Ender, the guy, the kid grows up and he becomes. It's not this, but like the death talker or death walker or death storyteller, where he goes to somebody and talks to everybody around your life, basically becomes you, finds everything about you, and writes one last letter about like you
didn't enjoy it.
And then it goes into this weird thing where there's these aliens in this planet that.
Don't spoil it.
I don't care. It's so bad. Don't read it. They basically pull you apart, like open up your rib cage, pull out your organs, and pull it all around your body.
Sounds like Bella's C-section.
It's just so bad, and it's so not like the first book. And the writer's like, oh, I know a lot of people liked Ender's Game, but like my coup d'etat was this one, and I'm like, dude, you're just messed up in the head. Like, it was so weird.
It sucks. In the second book, it almost ruins your pride for the first book. Yeah. The best book series to recommend is From Blood and Ash.
From Blood and Ash?
But that's just for the girlies.
I don't know. I don't think guys read much. Do they?
They should be. If you're a single guy, you get a lot more dates if you read. There's things to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about the stock exchange.
I don't think anybody understands it.
Girls don't want to talk about it, that's for sure. Yeah, I think boys do read. It just depends.
What's the best movie that I've introduced you to that you like the most?
That's a
that you
good
wouldn't
one.
have liked. Well, you never watched movies before you met me, but like.
Yeah, I didn't watch that much movies. Just Harry Potter. John Wick.
John Wick? Come on.
What? It's true.
John Wick?
I love him.
What's the best movie that we went to see this year? Don't
John
say John Wick.
You're not gonna like the answer. John Wick was epic, and you can't even deny it.
It was very good. It was good.
What else came out this year that was really, really good? I'm trying to remember all of them.
Yeah.
We've also seen. You think I've read a lot of books? You should see how many movies we saw in theaters this year. And yes, we do have a debt problem. We have a subscription to the movie theater, to Cineplex. So that's the level of unhinged we are. I don't know. John Wick was epic. It's the one that stands out in my mind.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking there was something really, really good. What was the first one we saw at Cineplex?
It was a horror movie.
No.
It was a horror movie, no.
But that's not one of my favorites, though. It was good. The Nun was really good.
The Nun was very good. It was very good. The creator was very good. I know you didn't like it much.
The creator is good. It's just not my favorite. Like, I prefer
the Haunted House.
You mean The Haunting in Venice?
No, the one that was Eddie Murphy that they made.
Oh, I loved that. That was fun because Owen Wilson is a priest. I mean, the niche is niching.
Yeah.
It's too good.
We went to a local theater. Imagine if we want to see that to like a nice theater.
What was it?
Free Guy.
That was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I know, but I remember it.
But it was really good.
Yeah, because it hit us like in a moment that we needed to feel good.
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of a movie or like a genre or like a series that you showed me at home that I loved. But I'm drawing a blank.
Adventure Time.
Yeah, Adventure Time.
The
Rick and
Office.
Morty. The
No,
Office.
Rick and Morty went to shit.
No, but in the beginning it was fun.
Yeah.
We saw a lot of great movies in theaters this year. It's hard to remember all of them. But I'm sure there's something that like tops John Wick. Like there must be. It's just hard to remember. Classic movies that I could rewatch. Four Christmases
Yeah.
is like, it's cute fun, right? Elf.
Yeah.
Like those are like, there's a lot of Christmas movies that like you can watch them every single year. I know you love Polar Express, but it's not my favorite. It gives me the ick. I don't know why.
Why?
I don't know why, but just don't like the little boy being kidnapped. And like, I don't know, it just gives me the ick.
The trains?
Yeah, it just creeps me out actually. And then like, yeah, he gets trapped up there. Like, I don't know. And it's just so
very
sad. Like, who
real.
cares that he lost his ticket? Like, just let him stay.
They did let him stay.
I know, but you know, he goes on his search. Like, I don't know, there's something so sad about that little boy. I don't like Polar Express that much. But I'll watch it every year for the rest of our lives because I made a vow.
Yeah.
But some classics you can rewatch. There's a lot of those like Couples Resort and like those like ensemble
those little funny
movies
that you don't really need to pay attention to. It's kind of like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's not that many action movies that you can watch over and over again.
No. Like, yes, we did watch Tom Cruise.
Top Gun Part
Top
2
Gun
or whatever.
Part 2.
Twice in one day.
in the same day. But I don't think we could do it a third time.
And to be fair, we were at a personal rock bottom.
Yeah.
If we were doing better mentally that week, maybe we wouldn't have done that. But that was an epic choice.
Yes.
And imagine if we saw that at Cineplex.
Yes. That would be sick.
Oh my gosh, it would have been life-changing. That's an epic movie.
Tip from us, like you have to choose which movies you go to the IMAX. Because they're not all
It
great.
literally makes no difference
It
also.
makes no difference.
The difference is like literally a centimeter.
Yeah.
Well, say your thing about the IMAX. It's valuable advice.
So yeah, I think you have to be very, 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 very particular where to go to the IMAX. Like, obviously Dune, go see it in IMAX.
Yeah.
But,
Everything says, oh, it was created to be seen in IMAX. They're just trying to get that extra $3.
and we've all the commercials of like the most, I don't want to say shitty movies, but like, yes.
Yeah.
Movies that you'd see at home.
Like Saw.
Like,
Saw 12.
It was made to be watched in an IMAX. Like the experience, the people beside you, the this and the that, the being
smell of
$30.
popcorn. The guy's feet dangling by your ear.
Like no, sweetheart.
Go to the regular theater.
Or don't even watch it at home.
Yeah.
Oh, like, or don't even watch it because it's
Yeah.
really trash.
We'll see anything in theaters, and we have.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to choose carefully when to spend those extra few bucks to see IMAX because it's really not worth it unless
No.
it's like the cinematography is like the selling point for the movie.
Yes.
But if it's just a movie that like is fun, go see it in the regular theater. You're gonna get less of a headache and it's less annoying.
And never do D-Box.
Never do D-Box. Only
Like-
D-bags do D-Box.
Anyway, I think this episode didn't really go anywhere, so.
I had fun.
I had fun, but yeah, send us your recommendations on books and movies to watch.
Yes, and yeah, like, I mean, anything similar to Twilight, our DMs are open. Because we're looking for that again. We're seeking a certain thrill, let's just say.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up. Thank you, buddy. Give it a thumbs.
Adventure time. Come on, grab your friends.